Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a little dive into r/Am I the Bort Hole? So if you would like to judge some big old gaping bort holes with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. And of course, quick disclaimer, any opinions we give on the post we read today are just opinions, not facts, do not need to be taken as such. If you have a differing opinion, do feel free to leave it in the comments below. Just make sure you're keeping it respectful. There is no need to be mean to people because you do not agree. With that being said, let's get into it then, shall we? Okay then, so this first one was posted by Team AmITheA. Am I the bort hole for leaving a wedding reception after the bride and groom had us drive to 4 different locations, over 30 miles, through LA traffic in 100 Fahrenheit heat? Ha ha ha! I would have given the middle finger and been like, sorry mate, your wedding is just not that important to me. Bye! Hello, we went to a wedding on Saturday, and after the ceremony, which ended around 12, I'm assuming that's in the middle of the day, because the ceremony is just the bit where they're like, do you say I do? Do you want them? Yeah? Cool. Kiss each other. Which is really weird when you put it like that, actually. Yeah. I think I just made a wedding sound really seedy by accident. Sorry. We were all given an address for the reception. We get there, and after we all finished eating salads, chicken and fish, the bride and groom stand up and ask the guests to accompany them to the next location for the rest of the reception, 12 miles away. Mind you, we are about 75 to 100 guests. Yeah, and don't people drink, like, alcohol quite often? After the ceremony, like, you know, to toast and what have you. A lot of people would have got like taxis and stuff as well. Some people won't drive, and you want them to go 12 miles away. And were they expecting it? Yeah, even just being asked to move to a venue that you weren't expecting once, I think is a bit overstepping, isn't it? You need to be telling people ahead of time. We head over where another meal was served, a main course of Mexican food, which was okay. After we finished eating, again, they stood up and asked us to accompany them to the next location for the rest of the party. Oh my goodness, I'm getting so miffed already, I gotta say. That's proper British thing to say, isn't it? I'd be so miffed. I am miffed to the nines right now. No dancing, no speeches, we just sat and ate. I expected it to be a hall with a dance floor in the same building or something, but no, 8 miles further, taking us into downtown LA. By now it's 4 p.m, we've paid $12 valet at restaurant 1 and $18 at restaurant 2. Some of the guests were a little pissed off, but we all head out and went. Took about 40 minutes to get there in traffic, and it was almost 100F that day. We get to restaurant 3. This time desserts were served. $20 parking, same thing. They got up and asked us to go to location 4 for the remainder of the evening. Oh, they are taking the mick, honestly. I'd be so mad. And they didn't say what will be there. It was 30 miles away, like 30 further out from the main wedding ceremony and my home. At that point, I'm almost 60 miles away from my home. I found out later that there was an open bar and a dance floor, and that's where the party was. At this point, I said my congrats and went home. It was already 7 p.m, and we were sweaty from the extreme heat, overworked and exhausted from all the driving. Yeah, I don't blame them one bit for going home. Honestly, I would have left after the first change. I'd be like, well, wasn't expecting this, I'm out. I have such a low tolerance for socialising anyway. I found out yesterday that almost half the guests went home. Now I'm wondering if I did the wrong thing by leaving. Nope, definitely not. I feel bad that they had to go to the main party without almost half of their guests. I also understand that they wanted to do something different and memorable with their wedding, but the driving around was just hectic. It felt inconsiderate to have almost 100 guests driving from place to place in LA traffic just to eat at each location location rather than actually celebrate together. And that's not even thinking about the $50 in valet we spent at the 3 places. I asked, and venue 4 was also $18 valet. Maybe I should have just sucked it up, driven the extra 30 miles and stayed for the actual party. At the same time, it was already 7 PM and we'd been doing this for basically the entire day. I would have just sat on a chair fanning myself with my feet up. Am I the butthole? No! Especially if you weren't even told that that would be happening. That is such a weird thing to do to your guests. And honestly, I think that they cannot be surprised that half the guests just went home and noped out by the end of it. To be honest, I'm surprised they even got to the 3rd venue with over half the guests left, to be quite fair. Oh my goodness, that is crazy work. So, down in the comments, JQuellin30 says, no, not the butthole. Was this communicated with the wedding invite? If not, that's on them. That's misleading the guests. Also, if this is what they really wanted, they should have arranged shuttle and transportation for all the guests. Exactly, because I say again, what about the guests that might have drunk alcohol? You know, are they then supposed to be expected to get there? Their only way then would be in a taxi or whatever, which you'd have to wait for. Then you're not going to have all your guests arriving. This just sounds like an organisation nightmare, if anything, if nothing else. But also, it's just super inconsiderate of your guests. If you want to do something out there like that, you really need to be telling people beforehand. OP replies to that saying, not at all. They gave the address for the first venue only. When they announced the second location, they were both giggling and were intending it as a fun surprise for everyone. God, I feel so bad, but if it was communicated, my friends and I would have carpooled and maybe continued the night. Exactly, and I think if I was going to give a little bit of grace to the couple, I would say, okay, bit annoying to not tell people that you're moving to a second venue, but that one I would maybe let them get away with, because I'd be like, okay, they thought they were doing something. It's not really landed for most of the guests, but they thought they were doing something cute, something funny, something like a bit of a surprise that everyone would just have a bit of a giggle about. And I'd probably still go to that one. But yeah, no, moving to 4 different venues when nothing has been communicated, absolutely not. That's crazy. Okay then, so next post posted by Spirited Shelter 4655. Am I the butthole for buying a hot tub after my brother's friends kept refusing to allow him or anyone else in their pool that my brother helped to buy? What? And then they said friends' parents. My brother's friends' parents kept refusing to allow him. Okay. I'm with ya, OP, I'm with ya. My boyfriend, my brother Pete, 14, and his friends C and J, both 14, got the idea in the middle of June to buy a pool for the rough summer we usually have. Because the local community pool is being shut down, where the hell are these 14-year-olds fighting the money for a pool? I can't imagine that's cheap to buy, even with, like, everyone pooling their money together. See what I did there? Stop it, Void. Jesus. When Pete or his friends couldn't convince anyone to buy it for them, they got motivated to work for it. Pete mowed lawns and did other yard work around the county, and the other 2 did their own work, and after a few weeks they pooled their money together and were able to buy a cheap above-ground pool. Me and C and J's parents were really impressed and thought that they deserved it after working for it. We all agreed to set the pool up in C's backyard because their backyard is the biggest. They filled it up and did all the work for it, and the first weekend it was available. Pete and his friends all hung out in the pool. The problem is, that was the only time Pete or Jay has been in the pool. C apparently is allowed to go in whenever, but nobody else. His parents have been asked multiple times and they're always shot down. One time, Pete ended up sneaking into the pool while I was at work, and when C's dad found him out there, he came out and yelled at him. C was in the water too, according to Pete. He and Jay were obviously confused, so when I went to talk with C's parents about P sneaking into the pool, I asked why they weren't allowed in at all. C's dad kept harping on the fact that Pete went in without permission, which I understand, but what I don't understand is why whenever they are asked to come over and swim, they're never allowed to. They both explained it's a liability reason, meaning if anything were to happen to anyone in their pool, like if someone drowned, they don't want to be responsible, and it's easier to just not allow anyone but their son in the water. But these are teenagers, not toddlers, and they all know how to swim. Listen, do I understand not wanting to be liable for someone else's kid in your garden if they go in the pool? Yeah, I get that. So why let them put the pool in your garden in the first place? Why did you not say, we don't want to be liable if one of you has an injury or whatever in the pool? So you're going to have to put it in someone else's garden. You guys decide amongst yourself whose garden it's going in, but it's not going in ours. To have it put in there when you haven't paid for it and then tell everyone they're not allowed in, you've basically just robbed these teenagers, and that's so wrong. At the end of the conversation, C's dad was like, the pool is on my property and we used our water to fill it up, so we decide what to do with it. I raised my voice a little by reminding them that they didn't buy that pool. It belongs to their son, my brother, and Jay. I understand that it's on their property, but it's unfair to keep it from the people who helped to buy it. They wouldn't answer that and threatened that Pete wouldn't be allowed at their house at all if they were asked again, which Pete would hate to hear since he loves their house, so I left it at that. Pete was pissed, to say the least, and loved to rant to anyone who'd listen while gaming with his friends about the situation. He asked if they could really do that and we should call the cops, but I told him let's not go that far yet. Even though I agreed those people basically stole from him, but he and C have been friends for nearly 10 years and they do everything together, so I'd hate to see them be separated over something petty like this. Do you know what? I'd be fuming just for the fact that I would feel like they've been very calculated in what they've done. Like C's parents basically saying, yeah, you can put it in our back garden. They knew all along they weren't going to let them in. Obviously, they just wanted to get a free above ground pool out of it, clearly. Like, how gross to do that to 14-year-olds though. So I came up with another idea and I went shopping online and found an inflatable hot tub for about the same amount of money they spent on the pool. It might have been just as petty and I dipped a bit into my savings, but I bought it. Could I have bought the pool myself? Maybe. But at the same time, Pete wanted it bad and I've got other things to worry about and he's learning to work for what he wants. And a hot tub's good for my back. Pete's been in the hot tub nearly every day since it's been set up. His friends are welcome inside too. My only rule is that they've got a shower at their own houses before or after they get in it. It's big enough for like 5 people. Jay and C have been over a lot to go in the hot tub and their parents have noticed. Jay's dad is totally okay with it and thinks that what C's parents are doing is bullshit too, but he agrees that they still get their reward for all their hard work with the hot tub. C's parents, on the other hand, aren't too happy. C told me himself that he prefers to be in the hot tub with his friends rather than swimming alone in his pool. And his parents don't understand that. Oh, shocker. You know, him and his friends, like, put all their money together to buy a pool so they could swim together and play in it together. And now they're shocked that he doesn't want to be in it because he just has to float about on his lonesome. Like, what? I haven't spoken to them directly about this, but C has heard rants from his mum about how everyone thinks they're some kind of child-hating monsters for not allowing anyone in their pool that they didn't buy. It hasn't helped that Pete still loves to rant about it too, and he knows a lot of neighbourhood kids who also come to dip in the hot tub. I do see C's mum at the store sometimes, but she doesn't make eye contact with me anymore. I mean, if they didn't want to be pegged as friggin' child-hating adults, then maybe they shouldn't have done what they did, you know? And honestly, I don't even know why OP says it's petty. I don't think it's petty. I think it's seeing that these kids put all of that time and effort into getting something for adults to steal from them. So the OP has stepped up and gone, don't worry, guys, I will get you something to show for your hard work. Like, I don't think that's petty. I just think that's kindness, you know? So OP goes on to say, I know it was petty, but am I the butthole? No, absolutely not. And it's not petty in my eyes. Edit, holy shit, this blew up a lot more than I thought. Thank you all for your input. I wanted to clear up some things in an edit. I'm a 30-year-old man. C's parents are pretty wealthy. I really don't think the water bill or anything they're paying for with that pool is gonna break them. Yes, I know Pete is owed his money back for his pool, but we're on thin ice with C's parents, and I'd hate to make things even worse. He hasn't really asked about getting his money back. All he really wanted was to use the pool. No, small claims court is out of the picture right now. It'd be a waste of everyone's time and money, and to be honest, the only people who aren't satisfied with this outcome are C's parents. I'm not gonna vandalise the pool in capital letters. I'm assuming that was quite a common comment. So, down in the comments, Maddie Ket says, C's parents should reimburse P&J and or the pool move to your house. And then Fennig says, the parents of P&J need to approach C's parents and demand 2/3 of the purchase price of the pool. These adults stole from 2 teenagers and are now upset that the said teenagers aren't at their beck and call. Exactly. And I bet as well they're also butthurt because it just makes them look like terrible people. The fact that even their own son is choosing to forego using their pool to go and sit in a hot tub, which I guarantee you is a lot smaller than a pool, you know? So it just goes to show that everyone is against them. No one's on their side. And people like that, they have huge egos. Someone who is willing to barefaced steal from a teenager and go, ha ha, cry about it with the middle fingers in the air, you know? Well, they don't literally do that, but that's basically what they did. You know, it's like, they have huge egos. They think they're untouchable and everyone should do as they say and they can do what they want. So when people turn around and are like, ew, we don't like you because you're a gross person, they can't stand that. So we have an update. OP says, so the overall response I got to the last post was very unexpected, and I appreciate everyone's input. This has been a weird situation for everyone involved. I wanted to clarify something about the pool first. It's not inflatable. It's one of those frame pools that you set up and then fill up. I'd say it's around 15 foot, at least big enough to fit 3 teenagers and 2 adults all at once. And like I said before, the only reason we set it up in C's parents' backyard is that my backyard isn't that big, so the pool would be crossing into our neighbour's yard. Jay and his dad live in a townhouse and C's family live in a big house with at least 2 acres of open land around them. Obviously, they have the most room. I couldn't believe the number of people who suggested draining the pool or slicing the pool open. Yeah, I can imagine they did. And you know what? I understand why people were saying that, because it's like people are angry on the OP's behalf, because who wouldn't be? So I understand those suggestions, but when you really take a step back and think about it, that's not a good idea. No, not unless you want to get arrested for criminal damage in someone else's property, and then they could go down the trespass route as well. You know, it's opening up a whole can of worms, isn't it, really? As much as you'd want to do that, and I would want to do that, I would also know that it would not be worth my time doing that. I get the idea, but that thing cost the boys like over $400 altogether. Since I last posted, Pete and his friends have still hung out in the hot tub. Also, because people were curious, it wasn't on most of the time, so they still cooled off. They like to leave it off and then turn it on when they get too cold. The ironic thing is, it's been raining this past week, so neither the pool or the hot tub has been used much. But the effects of Poolgate are still in effect, as Pete and Jay were talking about how they could use it without having to deal with C's parents, who still never let them near it. The one thing nobody has done yet is call the police, because what's the point? There was no contract signed, the boys paid in cash, and we all mutually agreed to set it up in C's backyard. So legally, they're all clear to do what they want with it, especially because they used their water to fill it up. Ethically, they're assholes, but legally, the police can't do anything if they claim that they bought it and we have no real proof that it's mutually owned. Jay's dad, who was angrier than I thought he was, actually ended up making several posts on Nextdoor and Facebook basically outing C's parents for stealing the pool. I love that. The Facebook posts got some pretty good attention for like a few days before he took it down, but suffice to say, a lot of our mutuals know about it now. I got a lot of messages asking about Pete, especially from the people he worked for. I didn't put in any of my own thoughts because, to be honest, I thought this was all behind us with the hot tub, but the more I thought about it, the more I understood that a hot tub wasn't enough. The boys worked hard for that pool, and they at least deserved their money back if they couldn't use it. But then, on Friday, Pete told me that C let him know that the previous night he had helped his dad to drain and dismantle the pool. It was only used sporadically and not for more than a month. C had to help his dad throw the whole pool in the neighbourhood dumpster. We had to go over and check it out ourselves to believe it. What an absolute prick. Saturday afternoon, with Jay and his dad's help, all four of us managed to pull everything out of the dumpster and we brought it back to Jay's house. They, as mentioned, don't have room to set up the pool in their backyard, but they do have a shed, and Jay's dad is letting them store it there for the time being. Jay's dad has a pickup truck, so it wasn't that hard to transport it. C had no idea, and neither did his parents, but we both did get some questioning texts if we took the pool. Neither of us denied it. Pete hasn't been able to talk to C ever since because I assume his phone has been taken away and he's occupied with other things. That's my way of saying, of course, he was grounded. Yeah, because he told on his dad. Oh my goodness. Such a spiteful thing to do, that though, isn't it? If you're going to take it down and, like, you don't want it in your garden anymore, let the others who put money towards it know and ask them if they want it. Don't just chuck it in the bin. Absolute dick. Understandably, everyone is pissed now. Jay's dad and I are pissed, especially that those guys just up and tried to throw away something these boys earned by working. The boys are pissed that not only have they been prevented from using the pool, except for C, but their hard work has been literally thrown away because his parents don't want to be responsible for it. The parents are beyond pissed that they were publicly shamed. Oh no, how terrible. And that their son snitched on them, and that we got to the pool before the dump truck did. And yes, we did get questions by neighbours when we were digging in the trash. We told them the truth. The worst part is, because the weather's getting colder, there's no point in trying to set the pool up anywhere else, even if we could. Thankfully, they still have the hot tub. So now, as it should have been from the beginning, Jay's dad and I are going to sit down and talk with C's parents about what compelled them to try to get rid of the pool like that instead of just letting the boys use the thing they bought, and also find out exactly what the issue is behind this whole situation. I have a feeling it's not going to go well. If they won't at least refund the boys, which we're going to demand, then we're both taking them to small claims, which we both know we might get screwed with, considering they can afford good lawyers and neither of us can. All we want is $300 split between Pete and Jay, and then this whole thing will be behind us. It sucks that Pete and C's friendship may be over after this, but it isn't either of their fault. So, down in the comments, Mushroom Fondue says, most small claims courts do not allow lawyers. My parents sued in small claims court once, the defendants bought a lawyer, and once my parents pointed him out, the judge told him to leave. Really? Is that a thing? That actually surprises me. I would have thought that you'd be allowed one. Anyway, OP then says, we'd probably be screwed anyway, since we all agreed to it being on their property. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Like, that is the one bit where they will have them by the short and curlies, because they did agree for it to be on their property. But hopefully the judge will look at them and be like, you stole from 14-year-olds, you pieces of shit. Like, give them their money back. Considering it's children they stole from, hopefully the judge will look at that and look more favourably on Pete and Jay's parents to give the money back so the boys can have their money back. So then, last post for the day, a Doja Cat is awesome says, would I be the butthole if I got my tubes tied, but told people I'm infertile? I'm a woman. I'm at an age where people start asking me when I'm going to have kids, family, or even neighbours. Neighbours? God, people are way too comfortable, aren't they, these days? Every family gathering, there's always a, so when will you make your parents grandparents? I don't have a boyfriend, and once my aunt even encouraged me to have an unprotected one-night stand with a stranger just to get pregnant and give my family a grandchild. Wild behaviour. But the thing is, I'm never gonna have kids of my own. Adopted maybe in 10 years, but biological, nope, sorry, pregnancy disgusts me. And call me selfish, but I would hate my body after it. I already have issues regarding my self-esteem. It would only get worse after pregnancy. And there's too many ways a pregnancy could mess with my health. Honestly, I get that in a way, because I hated being pregnant both times. I felt so gross. It felt so alien to me. Obviously, this is not what everyone else experiences, by the way, but I feel like we only publicly hear about the good experiences people have when they're pregnant, when they're like, oh, I loved my bump. I couldn't stand that thing. It grossed me out all the time. I hated it. I hated even if my own arm brushed against it, let alone anyone else's. It just felt so to me. It don't know what it was. It was so weird. I think it's just because it was so, like, it wasn't supposed to be there, and then you can feel something moving around in there. No. No. It icks me out even now when I think about it, honestly. But yeah, that's only my perspective of it. But I do think it's helpful to share that perspective and say that if you are experiencing that, you're pregnant, you're experiencing that, you are not alone. Or if you don't want to have kids because you know you'll feel like that, I get it. I 100% get it, because you're not alone. And it's a hell of a lot more normal than you think. Not everyone has that whole thing of, oh, I love feeling them move inside me and I love the bump, and I'm very happy for the people that felt that way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's weird to feel like that at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we don't hear enough about the people who just don't enjoy it, who just feel gross, who don't like it. I think it's kind of frowned upon to say, like, ew, no, I hated being pregnant. I felt disgusting the whole time. I know whenever I've said it to anyone, they look at you sideways, like as if you're going, yeah, I just really don't like my kid. I don't like the baby, you know, they're gross. That's not what you're saying. It's all those weird body things and changes. It's so freaky to some people, and it's fair, and that's okay. Anyway, getting my tubes tied is illegal in my country, but I plan on travelling to another country to get it done. So how much of an asshole would I be if someone asks me about potential kids again, and I tell them that I can't have them? Well, I wouldn't be lying, but if they ask further, I wouldn't say, hey, I got sterilised because I didn't want to be pregnant. I would rather say I'm medically unable to conceive, since this wouldn't get me as judged. And my love, that is all you have to say. You owe no one any explanation for why you don't want kids. No one goes up to people who have them and go, why do you want kids? What have you done that for? Aren't you going to regret it? No one ever says that to people that have them. So it is wild to me that anyone would say that to someone who's decided not to. Just say, I cannot have kids. That is all you need to say. If anyone really pushes and like, what? Well, why? Is it because you're single? No, it's because I medically can't. And to be honest, as soon as you say, it's because I medically can't, people will probably be like, oh, I've really put my foot in my mouth. They're gonna feel bad because as soon as you say, no, it's a medical issue, something medical happened and now you can't have kids. But it would probably be enough to embarrass them for prying and shut up, to be honest. But no, it irks me when people are just like, why don't you want them? Why do you want them, Susan? How about that? So, down in the comments, Average Decency says, literally, I can't have children. No lie required. Exactly. And then Mammoth Age 4933 says, this is the way. Funny thing is, if you say that, you don't even have to explain further. People fall over themselves to say sorry and feel bad for badgering you. Exactly. Just don't give people room to speculate. Just say, look, I can't have them. Medically, I cannot have them. That is that. Stop asking me. Okay then, so I think that's all we've got time for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the common avoid. Welcome. Don't forget to slap the like button, slap Big L, slap all the things. Why not? Tell me how much you're looking forward to autumn, whatever it is you're doing for the day. I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.